Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Comic Books Go to the Movies. I'm Sean, the Fox and the Fedora, and with me are...
Zach, the Menace of Games.
And the Tiger Wolf 55. And with us today are two very special guests. This is your part.
I'm Sky Wolf.
And this is Bloodstained Fur.
Okay, yes, welcoming back Drew, who was in a previous episode, and joining us today, Sky. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Today we've got a pretty full schedule. One of the reasons we didn't record so much towards the end of the year in 2014 was that every time we tried to record, some new info would pop up. So every time it'd be like, oh, let's talk about this. Then all of a sudden, like as I was editing, it'd be like, and now 5,000 other pieces of news have come out. It's like, well, so much for that. We're old news now. So we just never had a time to really go ahead and sit down and record, and schedules got all messy. So now that the holidays have passed,
Holiday season and whatnot. Now we're good
yeah,
now.
now that the holidays are passed, we are ready to pick up where we left off. So we will start with what I owe Rory. I am going to, let's say, let the Tiger Wolf off the leash. He has a bone to pick with a certain movie he saw. Rory, I'll go ahead and let you explain this one.
And considering it's now on DVD,
And Blu-ray, yes. This is several months late now, so free ticket kind of got wasted. Thank you very much, Sean. Alright. So, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle reboot movie. Basically, it's a do-over of the Turtles' origins, focusing mainly on April O'Neil, attempting to gain some notoriety in the journalistic world and following the current story of some activity of a gang called the Foot. Specifically, though, there's a vigilante or a group of vigilantes apparently that's going around and stopping these Foot members. She's following them, and she eventually discovers that they are in fact the childhood pet turtles that she used to own that were experimented on by her father, along with the pet rat, Splinter, who eventually became the turtle sensei, within the sewers after they got mutated, and April released them, rescuing them from a lab fire set by William Fichtner's character. Fichtner? I can't pronounce his name. His character is in league with the Shredder, and their plan was initially to use the mutagen that is currently coursing through the turtles' veins as a cure-all for a deadly bioweapon that they plan on releasing on New York. It's up to the Turtles and April O'Neil to stop the Shredder and Eric Sachs before they're able to go through with their plan. And you know, after thinking about this movie, I actually think that it's actually a pretty decent reboot and update to the Turtles' origin story, modernizing it for current audiences while paying homage to the original ideas that helped create the Turtles and make them popular in the first place.
But, really?
No, of course not! It was horrible! First of all, the movie should have been called April O'Neil and the Terrapin Titans. The movie was completely about April. The Turtles were second fiddle, at best, supporting characters in their own movie. Second, you know how the Turtles are just supposed to be like super cool dudes who have special ninja training but no real, quote, superpowers other than maybe a slightly tougher shell and our normal skin? Throw that away. These turtles are from the planet Krypton. They are flipping over empty cargo crates at shipping docks. They end up taking machine gun fire on their shells, not just the backs of their shells either, but their fronts, to the point where Raph literally catches the bullets in his breastplate and then pops them out like a cartoon. And I realize that this is somewhat based off of a cartoon, but somehow the 80s seemed less silly compared to this. The Turtles received no characterization or development whatsoever beyond the baseline. Michelangelo's the cool dude, Raph is the guy with the temper, so on and so forth. Maybe you could argue that Raphael got a little bit of characterization, but that's the same problem that I have with the first movie from the 90s. So, congratulations. You guys imitated the one problem that was existent in the first movie. Shredder, he was a generic villain, and they went seriously over the top with him. The action was overblown and ridiculous. I never felt any kind of adrenaline rush or excitement, not even for the otherwise lauded mountaintop sequence. Sax was a weak villain. His plan was idiotic to the highest degree. Literally, he's already a rich guy, but they plan on holding the city for ransom so that he could be, quote, stupid rich. Emphasis on the stupid here. And there are many, many other issues that can be had with this movie. Basically, don't even bother with the rent. I would stick with the current Ninja Turtles cartoon that's airing on Nickelodeon, or if you really want to, go ahead and delve into the archives for the 80s cartoon, the first two Turtles movies, or the 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series from Fox Kids. This movie, I'm sorry, it does not deserve the sequel that it's getting.
Something tells me you didn't like it.
You think? And this is after several months of temperament. I have had time to calm down from my initial screening. Had this review actually gone through a couple months ago, I probably still would have been spitting foam.
Spitting foam. You were spitting fire.
Oh yeah, we had a chance to actually listen to the original take of it, and it was a lot more furious before the DVD release, and this one's a little bit more calmed down, but it still gets the point across.
Thank you very much.
I apologize that it's taken this long to get your review out, but
It's okay. You stated the reasons for it before, and it's perfectly fine. You just owe me like 3 cheese pizzas.
Are you sure using the term of pizzas would be a good idea, seeing as they're a staple food of the Ninja Turtles, right?
Hey, when the Turtles are cool, it's fine. I don't care about the literal minute that they stopped the movie for their stupid Pizza Hut commercial. I'm serious. They stopped the movie for a full-on minute so that they can have a Pizza Hut commercial.
The only thing I'm surprised by is that out of all the pizza in New York, you chose Pizza Hut.
No, we are not quoting CinemaSins here. Or Honest Trailers, whoever did it.
Heard that. Everyone said that. Basically, just like, really? Pizza Hut? There's, like, the most common being Honest Trailers with, like, Ray's Pizza, Ray's Perfect Pizza, Ray's Super Perfect Pizza, Ray's Beyond Good Pizza.
yes. Yeah. But yeah, well, what were we really expecting? It was produced by Michael Bay, and the designs were already making people go, "What am I looking at?" And so on and so forth. So
The thing is, though, that the Turtles didn't even have to look this bad. Like I said, the CGI was horrendous, and the character designs were absolutely ugly. But I saw some earlier character sketches and designs and artwork for the Turtles, and they looked pretty good. Not the ones from Michael Bay's original Their Space Aliens thing, but later on after he had been booted from the director's seat, and they were going more for the whole Turtles are just mutated thing. They looked decent. They looked like a good modernization, not these buff steroid-infused CGI monstrosities that we ended up with.
yeah, it it definitely did not look very pleasant.
Why am I reminded of the original Green Goblin design?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I do plan on doing a more full review just further down the line.
Maybe on your channel?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, with that out of the way, let us get to the biggest topics that have been floating around since we last grouped together for this series. First up, DC Comics and Warner Brothers have announced their cinematic universe lineup. Now, we're not going to go over the full lineup because it stretches all the way to 2019, but we'll talk about the more recent ones. We've basically talked Batman v Superman to death here, so I'll move on with the one after that one, Suicide Squad. Okay, we have Will Smith as Deadshot. We have Jared Leto as the Joker. Um, and there's talk about Jesse Eisenberg being Lex Luthor for it, and it's like, okay, so basically, for those of you who don't know, Suicide Squad is a bunch of DC supervillains who are basically told by the kind of contract, not really contracted, but forced by the government to go on black ops missions, and they they're called Suicide Squad because they most likely will not make it back. And if they do, well, congratulations, your sentence is down so many years, but you're not done yet. So you're going to be another mission eventually. So, uh, thoughts about doing Suicide Squad the movie?
I just had the entire past 5 minutes at least, so somebody else go first.
My first thought is simply, wow, for real? Will Smith, Deadshot?
Yeah, Will Smith is Deadshot, and I can't remember all the other actors and actresses chosen for this movie, but that is going to be the next one after Batman v Superman. So I guess if Jesse Eisenberg is in it, we can confirm that he gets arrested at the end of Batman v Superman.
Kind of building up to the Suicide Squad then.
Guess so.
Let's see. My thoughts would be that it would be a little interesting because we haven't really seen a movie with like the supervillain team up from like either Marvel or DC hasn't done it yet. So this would at least sort of start first ground. And if this does very well, then Marvel will say, "Oh snap! Then we better do it." Spider-Man villain Sinister Six will work.
They already are trying that. We're going to get to that in a few minutes here, but I think the closest we've come to a supervillain team up was Spider-Man 3 with Sandman and Venom.
Yeah, that kind of was our closest.
I don't know. Technically, you could say that we've had several supervillain team-ups in the past. I mean, Batman Returns, basically all the Batman movies after the first one. Yeah, we've... Okay, those are the only ones that are coming to mind.
But the important thing is that we have a few already, but we haven't had one that's like the primary focus. The team-ups originally in those films were usually near the climax.
Well, not really. I mean, like if you're gonna count like the Batman films back then, it's like you got Riddler and Two-Face for the majority of the movie. So
But they're not the primary focus. Batman is.
yeah, but still, you're right. We haven't had a primary focus supervillain group movie, so this will be like the first, I think, unless Sinister Six comes out, but we're still not sure what's going on there, and we will talk about that. But yeah, so Suicide Squad is there, and then you have the possibility of a Wonder Woman movie. But even though they said they're going to do a Wonder Woman movie, apparently nobody has actually greenlit the script yet.
Well, here's the thing about the DC Cinematic Universe as it stands. I'm sorry, just a sec. Technically, nothing past Suicide Squad is greenlit yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I guess until Batman v Superman, comes out looking awesome, and everybody goes to see it, and it does super well at the box office, then it's kind of up in the air for the DC Cinematic Universe.
Now, here's a good hypothetical question for you, gentlemen and ladies. I have to say that now, so... my question is, what if it bombs? Then what would be the fate of the DC Cinematic Universe?
It would go Green Lantern.
There we go.
They just try again. They just try again with a different approach.
I would imagine they probably try and bring out more TV series because their TV series right now, they're not that bad.
No, not at all.
Yeah, The Flash and Arrow, of course, doing great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's true. Maybe they will try more TV shows, but right now, I think they want to try and get part of that Avengers pie, if you will. With the Avengers being so popular right now, and Marvel really redefining the whole comic book movie, it's like, oh, we want that too. So it's kind of waiting for DC to kind of get their own groove, if you will. Marvel's kind of got their own theme song, if you will. That's how they they've got their tune, they've got their way of dancing, so now we're waiting for DC to, not be an exact copy of that, but get their own style, their own moxie, so that when they bring out later films, we will know DC Comics, DC Cinematic Universe by that, style. But so far, all they've successfully done is kind of divide the fan base with Man of Steel. So,
And of course, show off how Batman is super duper and amazing, and how he should be in every single movie because Dark Knights.
yes, let us.
Who should be the man that should be about everything? Because Marvel, you got Joss Whedon. What do we got? Christopher Nolan.
No, they actually got Zack. They've kind of moved Zack Snyder into that position.
Started off with Christopher Nolan, now Zack Snyder.
They wanted Christopher Nolan. That's part of the reason why the DC Cinematic Universe took so long to get rolling. He said no. He didn't want to commit himself to that kind of project.
I want to make movies that I want to make.
Precisely.
And because I want to be the Stanley Kubrick. You could say he's kind of a Stanley Kubrick nowadays.
Not so artsy.
Well, not as artsy, but still a little confusing on his films.
Well, Nolan had a vision for Batman, and he completed that vision. So now he's moved on. But DC wants to now kind of have that same fame and power and money intake as Marvel and Disney are having. So it's now become a like with Sony and their Spider-Man wannabe universe. They all want a piece of the pie. They want to have part of that, that little market that's well, not really little, but it's they want part of that market that's really come in and made Marvel a household name. So we'll have to wait and see what DC is going to do, because unlike Marvel, DC Comics doesn't have their own studio in terms of movies, so they're kind of just working off Warner Brothers. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and it was, and I remember, and didn't I hear that Marvel Studios was sort of kind of Risk kind of thing?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, and now it's become like a multi-billion-dollar company that thanks to the events of the Avengers Cinematic Universe, that now they're making awesomeness.
Yeah, they trying new things, being a little daring, especially with things like Guardians of the Galaxy. And it's like, look at what we're doing. We got Attacking Raccoon. What do you have over there, DC?
Superman breaking the bad guy's neck.
Well, to be fair, we won't go into the full, dissecting of Man of Steel, but
Yeah, too many people have already done it before, and it's so split that we won't go into. Instead, we'll go on to the next bit of news.
yes, and now we can finally get into some news that probably Sky and Drew are a little bit more up to date with. Let's talk Avengers: Age of Ultron. Recently, it has been revealed that Ultron is not just some robot created by Tony Stark. It's actually supposedly a Chitauri computer software that I believe Tony will find in the wreckage of the Chitauri chariots and whatever else was used by them during the Battle of New York.
Basically, he finds it from the machines that were from the original Avengers movie, and he's going to use that to make robots.
Good on you, Tony.
I'm gonna say this. That just sounds like a really stupid idea.
Well,
Tony
it's
Stark.
even it's even funny because it's like his goal is like, if I create the robots, then we won't have to really fight anymore. And it's like, yeah, but you basically gave the robot its own brain. you copied and pasted your own brain into an alien software that you think you figured out, but it was built by an alien dictator who is also known as a Mad Titan.
Yep. Only thing is that not only does it have the brain of Tony Stark in there, it also has a complete encyclopedia of all Disney films.
Yes, it does. It does.
I'm actually hoping that there's more lines like that. You know, sort of like that How It Should Have Ended trailer for it.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
yeah.
hoping that he has more lines rather than just the "I got no strings on me." I hope there's more than just that. It would be it would seem kind of get kind of dumb after a while, but I wouldn't care. It would be hilarious.
It would be kind of funny if they had like every single line he had was from a Disney movie.
Ultron ruining Disney movies for everybody.
Hakuna Matata.
Bloodstained Furry, you've been really quiet over there. What are your thoughts? Come on, speak up, dude.
I'm right there with everybody else. I like the idea very much.
Well, I guess we're unanimous on Disney Ultron.
Now, one other thing I have to bring up. Hey, Tiger Wolf. I seem to recall both you and Bloodstained Fur over there telling me that there probably wouldn't be a focus on Infinity Stones this time around. Yet it was revealed recently that Loki's scepter is in fact an Infinity Stone. So I have a strange feeling that the Avengers will finally be getting caught up on what the heck these things are.
I seem to recall myself saying that they probably wouldn't be introducing new Infinity Stones, and that if they did, it would only be revealing that Loki's scepter was an Infinity Stone.
Uh-huh. I seem to recall saying what I just said and you shooting me down, so...
I seem to recall of you guys talking about the thing that you just said, and what we could use is just simply time travel to look back and see if one of us is right, but we can't do it right now.
Well, either way, it's been confirmed that Loki's scepter is one of the Infinity Stones. My money's on Mind, the Mind Stone, but we'll have to wait and see what they say about it, because we do know now that Loki and Heimdall both have some kind of role in Avengers: Age of Ultron. So we'll have to wait and see what goes on there, whether or they're going to be like in some kind of illusion or flashback or post-credit scene. It's not been confirmed quite yet, but we'll see what comes of that, because we haven't at the end of Thor: The Dark World, we're given basically a cliffhanger with Thor not wanting to be king, and then finding out that Loki is actually impersonating Odin.
Spoilers.
Whoa, Sean, come on! I haven't seen the movie yet. You ruined the movie for me. Thanks, Sean.
Again, isn't that almost like a Disney reference? Does that not ring a bell to anyone?
Ah, darn it! I know what she's talking about.
Dang it, Disney! Why are you everywhere now?
Hey, I feel as though that's gonna be the Infinity Stone will be introduced. The Disney Infinity Stone. Wait, Disney Infinity Stone? Disney Infinity Game was already.
No, you shut that thought down right now.
Wait,
2.0.
if that's the case, though, Disney is also tied with that of Star Wars and Kingdom Hearts. So does this mean that we could have a Kingdom Hearts movie?
Half-Life
Oh,
3
no.
confirmed. Moving on.
But no, it looks like we'll just have to wait and see what they're going to do with this, because if Loki and Heimdall do end up having like an actual like in the present role, and it's not a flashback or just some random post credit scene, then Thor's gonna have some questions as to wait a minute, what happened to Dad?
Yeah.
Saith what?
We'll just have to wait and see what they have planned for Loki and Heimdall.
I can't wait to see how they plan to get around the fact that these Infinity Stone is apparently supposed to be colored green, but Loki's staff was very clearly painted blue.
Well, you know what's interesting about that? I was actually watching the special features for Guardians of the Galaxy last night, and when I was watching some of the like when they were filming, and there was some scenes where like Ronan was like talking with Nebula, and he already had put the power stone in his hammer, and even though it's purple on screen and on the during the movie and whatnot, it's actually red during production.
Hmm.
which is how the stone, which is the actual color of the stone. And when I was watching Avengers on cable the other night, the Tesseract actually ended up looking purple, which is what the Space Stone is supposed to look like.
Are you sure that it's not because I messed up with your color imaging on your TV?
Well, then you did a good job, because even the theaters say, yeah, the Tesseract looked blue and the Power Stone looked red. I mean, looked purple. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. Maybe I don't know. Who knows what they're doing.
Or maybe Marvel will just take a book from DC's little rules and say retcon.
Yes, suddenly we'll be in the theaters watching Avengers Age of Ultron, and the next time we see Loki's staff, it'll be green.
What's next? We're gonna see the ghost of Anakin just walking around. He's gonna look much different than the original.
It never happened. But it was blue last time. It never happened. These aren't the droids you're looking for.
Iron Man shot first.
But yeah, we'll have to wait and see, as I've been saying, just how they're going to explain that. Because the collector obviously showed in Guardians of the Galaxy that each stone was a different color.
And we've seen it in other references as well throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, and they've just switched the colors around to keep people guessing as to which one is which. So we'll have to wait and see what that brings us.
Maybe they changed to their right colours when they're inserted into the Infinity Gauntlet.
That could be an explanation.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know what each, I mean, we've seen and this is part of the next topic, we've seen the trailer, or I guess everyone's seen the trailer for Infinity Wars, which they posted online, and Thanos wearing the gauntlet, and each color is, as is in the comic book. It seems all the colors are, right where they should be. So I'm guessing, I'm not guessing, I'm kind of agreeing with Sky here that probably when it comes time to put the powers of each stone into the gauntlet, they will assume their natural color. But we'll just have to wait and see. Because, I mean, good grief, if the ether is reality, then red and yellow there kind of got mixed up. And speaking of Infinity Wars, we got the Marvel Phase 3 lineup.
Yay! What does that mean?
It means that we have seen into the future, and it is stupid.
We have seen the future, and it is glorious!
Zach got that one right.
There are no hoverboards. It's stupid.
Well, hey, they got time. Remember, Zach, you told me.
Oh yeah,
on New Year's...
October 21st at 4:29 p.m.
Yes, they have until that moment in time to actually
Flying
get
cars, hoverboards, and Jaws 19.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and gas prices need to be $4 by then.
Oh, that's already.
No.
Wait, let me try this again. Gas prices are $4 in California. Yeah, they're kind of already there. Well.
Anyway, Phase 3, we have the following: Captain America: Civil War. We have Doctor Strange. We have Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Thor: Ragnarok, Black Panther, and finally we have it all culminating in Infinity Wars Part 1 and 2, along with an Inhumans movie and Captain Marvel.
Hooray!
Shouldn't Ant-Man technically be part of the Phase 3 lineup?
Yeah, but I think because it's already been announced and all that, I just left it out because it's like, we know it's coming.
Okay.
We're aware of that one movie. Although I have to say, I did like the marketing that they did for the Ant-Man teaser.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, ant-sized version, human-sized version. Like, I gotta say, okay, that was good marketing.
So, but yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. So thoughts on Civil War and the fact that it'll be basically Tony versus Steve in a big battle.
Okay, I demand that Bloodstained Fur talk first. You cannot just say, I agree with everybody.
All right, I won't. I don't agree with everybody then.
Instead, I agree with everyone but Rory.
um, hmm. Well, uh, I feel like it could be really great, or it could be a missed opportunity. You see, it seems like, all right, so they're gonna have the whole Iron Man versus Captain America, because of their different view takes on just the world in general. My problem with that is it seems like this would have been a perfect opportunity to reintroduce the Red Skull, and if they're going to be taking Iron Man into this story, then that is just going to pretty much take up all the focus of that film, so it would be in vain. And it's just I don't feel like there'll be another chance to really do that in the future. Um, just watched the first Captain America the other night, and it just feels like such an unresolved conflict there with the Red Skull being transported somewhere by the Tesseract. We don't know where, and I feel like that's like a story that's got to come back at some time. And I don't want it to just come back as oh hey, here it is, but it's not like a primary focus. I want it to have its own film that it is the primary focus. With the return of Hydra and everything, it just feels like we're going back to the basics, back to the origins here. And I felt like, okay, if Hydra is going to be an ongoing threat going into Phase 3, then it just makes sense that you'd have to have the leader there too, the head of the snake there. And I'm still very much excited for Civil War, and I know there's been a lot of um, debate on whether or not Cap is going to get killed in the film, because I know in the comic version he ends up getting killed, but not for permanently. I know that like all the other characters, he ends up coming back. But I, I don't know. I don't know what's really gonna happen. I'm more, to be honest, I'm more excited about that movie than I am about the Batman and Superman movie, because they're both come out the same year. I mean, I love Batman and Superman both, but it's Mm, I don't know. I'm still getting over the Christopher Nolan trilogy, and I'm not quite all ready for a new Batman quite yet. I said this on the last podcast I was on, so I won't go down that road again. But and as far as Superman goes, yeah, I love the Man of Steel movie. I want another solo Man of Steel movie. I'm not really all that. I mean, I'm excited to see them together, but not as excited as I am with the Marvel lineup, because they just have more going for them right now. I feel like Civil War is going to be a huge, like, important installment of Phase 3, just in the same way that Winter Soldier was a huge, important installment of Phase 2. I feel like a lot of things are going to change there. I just, I'm kind of hit and miss, or kind of undecisive of how I feel about Tony Stark being in the film. I know there's been rumors about an Iron Man 4, which doesn't look like it's going to be happening, but Robert Downey keeps teasing everybody about the idea that there could be an Iron Man 4, but it's like, well, when's that going to happen, buddy? Because, you can't be doing this forever, and if Phase 3 is already decided, then we probably won't be having it until after 2020, and we really want to see a 55, 60-year-old Tony Stark at this point. I mean, I don't think that's
I
going
wouldn't
to...
mind.
Well, I suppose. I just feel like it's... my... Okay, I feel kind of torn between stating this. I think Robert Downey Jr. is an awesome Iron Man. He kind of owns that role. My only issue with that is it seems like, with the exception of the Avengers, and even in the Avengers at times, it seems like whenever Robert Downey is that scene stealer. He's got to have the focus when he's on the screen. He even told Joss Whedon when they were doing Avengers, Iron Man's got to be the leader here. He's got to have the most focus. And Joss was like, no, 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 we're not doing that. We're going to have everybody get more or less equal screen times. Like, Iron Man's not even the leader of the Avengers. And the whole idea that he's the co-captain of the Avengers, no. Captain America was always the main leader. So if this is going to be Captain America, Civil War, then I want the main character to be Captain America, not
They may
Tony.
potentially just kill Tony Stark off instead
I don't say I want that either. I just know
No,
that
but
Tony Stark is a great character, but when you put him with other characters, he's always gonna. That's just who he is, though, and that's all right. But I still want Captain America 3 to be about Captain America. And I feel like having those two juggernauts in the same movie together, it's like they're literally going to clash as actors or as their characters. I might be completely wrong here, but so that's why I'm saying it's kind of a mixed bag there about how I feel about them being together in the same film.
My question is Captain America still going to have his shield?
Oh.
And will enemies yield?
It rhymes, so it must be true, right? No, it's weird because I used to not be a huge Captain America fan. I mean, I'll take it back. It's not that I never disliked him. I just didn't have a reason to really love the character anyway. When the first Captain America movie came out, I liked it, but I wasn't completely blown away by it. Let's face it, in most people's instances, Captain America was really nobody's favorite character in the Avengers films, and that was through no fault of Chris Evans or the character. It's just that of all the Avengers characters, they kind of gave him the least interesting things to do. And that was really unfortunate because he is an awesome character, as you really got to see in The Winter Soldier. I think that's what blew everybody's mind, kind of saying, "Oh wow, this guy can really fight. He's really, a great fighter, a great leader. He's very complex," and that's what made Winter Soldier one of, if not the best films of the Phase 2 lineup. I just don't want that to all of a sudden be all dwarfed by Tony Stark's presence in the next movie. He established himself as a really strong main character now. Keep it going, keep it going. I'm not saying that they're going to ruin it. I'm sure it's going to be great. It excites me, but also kind of makes me a little edgy at the
I
same
guess
time.
the Avengers 2 is going to be a real test of the balance between the characters, especially Tony Stark and Captain America. They tend to be the ones, okay, you have Thor, but definitely Captain America and Iron Man are
I think Thor's gonna have a problem with Tony too, because if you saw in the trailer, he's lifting him
stealing his
off,
thunder.
off his feet. There, it looks like he wants to kill him. Can we really blame him though?
He's killing an innocent human being.
This is for Iron Man 2.
Actually, I have 2 points there. Okay, point number 1. How would you guys feel if at the end of Captain America 3, things got so bad that maybe the conflict was resolved, but 1, Cap was killed off, 2, Bucky became Captain America, 3, Tony either went insane or got arrested, and 4, all the other Avengers who were on Earth ended up going on the run. Example, Hulk. Now, this would be fixed, of course, in Infinity Wars Part 1 and 2, where with the power of the stones, they could resurrect Cap for like that epic speech he has when he faces off against Thanos, and all that. I see that as a way to save money and also to really change the game, so that when it came time to do Infinity Wars, you'd have people who weren't really familiar wondering how they were going to pull this off. So
Do you remember them saying that when they were doing Infinity War, not to expect all of the Avengers there for Infinity War? Which is, they were just teasing about that, and that was a while ago when that article or whatever came out. But they were saying that it's a possibility that both Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth may not be in Infinity War, so that's leading me to believe, why would that be? I mean, again, it's probably just rumor control, but there is a strong possibility that one or if not more of them could be killed off before Infinity War even happens, which would open the doors to have some of the newer Avengers characters, if you can even call them that, like the Doctor Strange and Black Panther, coming in for the Infinity War. Because if you have too many characters in Infinity War, then it's going to be Spider-Man 3 times a million.
well, that's the thing about Infinity War. It's like it's a 2-parter. There's a little bit more time there to actually go ahead and have more characters in. You don't put every character in every part, but you can, you could have a few people, in one part, and then another more people in another part and whatnot. It just depends on how they want to run it, how they want to, how this is going to go. Because I mean, with Loki already confirmed for Avengers 3, I have a feeling that you have to. I can't see him without Thor being there. So there are a few people. There are a few people I could see being left out, but not all of these
No, that would be a
characters
miss.
should
That
be
would be
left
bad.
out.
It'd be like Hawkeye, Black Widow, potentially.
Yeah.
That they could probably drop.
Well, that's the thing. Are they going to finally have a death scene that sticks? I know it's comic book movies. I know they always come back because they come back in the comics. We were talking earlier about one of the the reoccurring themes in the Marvel universe is that they have a lot of characters that have died that have miraculously come back, or they faked their deaths, or you have Agent Coulson in Avengers, who now has the star of his own TV show. You have, well, like in Iron Man, you thought for a brief period of time that Pepper was dead until she came back. Loki with the fake death in Thor 2, and then Nick Fury with the fake death in Cap 2. So
And Bucky Barnes as well.
right, in Cap 1. So it's a reoccurring theme of these characters dying, and then, oh no, we were just fooling with you. So it would actually be nice to. I shouldn't say I want it to happen. It's just you create these safe boundaries, and when you create these safe boundaries, it's, oh, nothing bad can happen to your characters, then you never are afraid for them. And since this is Joss Whedon doing it, he likes with his work with his TV shows in the past, he likes to have those unexpected character deaths when you, especially like the most innocent ones imaginable too. So I imagine if he's
Kill off Loki.
no, that's not gonna, because he's not gonna even have a prevalent role in it. But if Age of Ultron is gonna be darker and more hardcore than the first Avengers, and I can imagine he probably would want to do something like that.
Well, it was also revealed in an interview that somebody asked, I think it was Mark Ruffalo, I can't remember who, but they were asked, so is this really a much darker film? And they're like, oh, don't worry, there's still plenty of ha-has.
Oh yeah,
So-
you need to have that. You can't just have all of a sudden go Dark Knight on you. No, that's DC's problem, is that they're always too serious with their works. Marvel maybe sometimes, more often than late, have maybe too much humor where it kind of, it doesn't ruin their
It
movies.
takes away.
But it
from
takes
the
away. I
story.
mean, I think you have that problem with Iron Man 3 and Thor 2, especially where they had too much humor, particularly in spots like in the climaxes where it should have been taken more seriously. Cap 2 and even Guardians made up for it, where they were able to more balance their humor with their more serious moments. So they are learning from their, I don't want to say mistakes, but they're,
Mishaps.
yeah, just like the setbacks in it.
I want this recording. He just admitted that Marvel went ahead and made their blunders by putting in too much humor for those climaxes.
Well, I never denied it. I said it didn't ruin the film. It wasn't like it was a continuing thing. But you look at films like Thor 2. I love Thor 2. I wish there wasn't so much hate on it. But yes, there is way too much humor in the climax with being transported along. I wanted it to be very hardcore. I figure after Loki's fake death, it should have been more just, okay, now we're taking things very seriously. In fact, they went the exact opposite, and I think it had more humor in the climax than it did any other part in the movie.
Especially considering that earlier you had the huge set piece with Asgard being attacked and everything, where there was no humor whatsoever.
No, exactly. And so they knew when they put it in there, they just couldn't hold on to it. It was like it was too slippery to hold on to. It's like, oh, we can't do this. Whereas DC has the exact opposite problem of having too much dark material and not as much lighthearted moments. But that's just the DC Marvel difference, I think, overall.
Thank goodness for Michael Caine.
She had just recently seen all of the Dark Knight films, and yes, I think, yeah.
Well, here's hoping that Marvel continues to learn from their mistakes. I mean, obviously, like you said, Captain America 2, it had a very nice balance between its action and its humor, knowing when to have it and when not to have it. And Guardians of the Galaxy, it had humor in its climax, but it fit for the whole tone of what was going on. And they knew when to put it in and when not to. So here's hoping that DC learns when to put in some levity and when not to.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Sean had mentioned this previously, talking about how DC is trying to seem like they're going for the whole epic. I know you hate that word, Rory, epic, but
No, in this case, it fits. I don't like the word epic when people say that was an epic sandwich.
You said that epically, by the way, but no. Just in the sense that DC with their Justice League, whatever cinematic universe that they're trying to create, it seems like they're trying to make each installment something really big and really grand, to the point where you just need to struggle to breathe. I mean, Man of Steel, as great of a film as I thought it was, you feel like you were drowning by the end of it, because there was just so much going on and too much for your brain to process. And if they want to keep that up with every one of their installments, it's like, gosh, you're going to have people having heart attacks watching these films. Whereas with the Marvel films, they're all right with having a few films that aren't as intense or as big as other ones. Look, I mean, like I said, with the start of Phase 2, Iron Man 3 and Thor 2, they weren't very important films, nor did they have a lot of intense moments, but they were still very fun films to have. They admit it's okay to have films like that. In a series, not everyone has to be crucial to the big picture. I mean, they're important, but they're not that important.
One of the things that Rory brought up in terms of Thor: The Dark World is that while I had no problem with the kind of a silly climax there, he did bring up the fact that we did end up having a surprisingly pretty dire middle when Malekith attacked Asgard. So I got to thinking, maybe the script got switched around, and the climax got put in the middle, and the middle got put
That
in
would
the
make
end.
more sense.
But no, probably not. But still, yeah. In terms of of how they handle it, yeah. Thor: The Dark World is not my favorite, but I'm fine with it.
It's a fun film just to
Um,
watch. You don't have to get in that certain kind of serious music. Okay, I'm gonna watch this movie now, and I have to be in that right frame of mind. No, it's just like, hey, let's pop on a fun film. That's one of the ones to watch then.
That's what most of the Marvel films have about them is you can. It's like, oh, just throw on a movie, but
But you want to watch one that's a little deeper. Okay, let's put on the Winter Soldier, or
yeah,
even the first Avengers. These are ones that have more going on in it. But the fact that they're all, or even the first Iron Man, but they're not. The fact that they're all not like that shows a very nice balancing of that. They're saying, okay, we have ones that are more serious, ones that are more comedic, or just downright fun. But that's the thing that really worries me about DC, and that's why I didn't really have much of an opinion on it earlier, is because there isn't a whole lot there that I'm sure I'll be eating my own words in a few years from now, but not a lot of it is really exciting me right now. Even the whole Suicide Squad movie, the idea of having a bunch of villains as the main characters, while it is unique and different because they haven't done it, I really don't know. I don't. Villains only work as good as their heroes, I feel, or and vice versa. So just to having an idea of just having all villains as your main characters, just it doesn't sit well with me. I might be proven wrong. I hope I am, but at this,
Well,
go ahead.
if you want an idea of how that could actually turn out, I recommend checking out the Assault on Arkham animated movie. It's a decent flick, and it gives an idea as to what the live action version could end up looking like. Obviously, not exactly. Hopefully, we're not going to have certain scenes, but it can give a general idea.
Well, I'm not saying it's setting itself up for failure. It just is not sitting well with me. I just like it's one of the things that has really grown with me to really love like the first Captain America film. The idea of pure good versus pure evil. I love that black and white. I'm not saying it always has to be like that because then it gets very formulaic and very predictable. But just having the idea, I just love that classic
that's
idea.
what
Having
superhero movies should
yeah,
be.
or even the Dark Knight, Batman and Joker. That's why that worked so well. Just the idea of having too much of villains, too much of a good thing suddenly isn't a good thing. But I might be proven wrong, and again, I kind of hope I am because I want to like the DC lineup. I really do. Right now I'm not terribly excited for it. I probably will be when I start seeing more trailers, more hype for it. It just right now I'm more with Marvel, which kind of saddens me because Batman's always been my favorite superhero, but right now I'm more on Marvel's side.
and one other point I had to make about Captain America: Civil War. Okay, so question to you guys. We know that when the first Civil War, well, not the first, but the actual Civil War in the comics happened, we know that it was the bad guys, in particular Norman Osborn, who benefited from it. Of course, we don't have Norman Osborn here, so I got to thinking, well, who would benefit from having Iron Man and Captain America beating the crap out of each other? And then I got to thinking, oh, we've been promised not only the return of Red Skull, but a real Mandarin.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Well, I don't know. First off, we should consider the fact that this is going to be a loose adaptation of the Civil War. It's not going to be the exact thing. Obviously, just for the fact that they can't have certain characters, but also just for the fact that I don't see this storyline matching perfectly between what they've set up in the movies, even what's going to happen following Age of Ultron and what happened in the comics. I mean, what happened in the comics took years to set up and a long time to get to the point where they could successfully say, okay, we're going to have that Superhero Registration Act for everybody now, not just the X-Men. So I don't know if they're even going to have it to the point where the bad guys are going to benefit like that.
Well, it's always an open possibility because, I mean, when we're promised a real Mandarin, where else are you going to really put him? unless you really are waiting till Iron Man 4. But I just got to thinking that, well, there was technically, bad guys pulling strings behind the scenes during Civil War. So I'm like, well, who would I get if I was in charge to do that? Well, if we've been promised a real Mandarin, and Red Skull, people are waiting for Red Skull to show his face again. So I kind of see the possibility of maybe even testing out how supervillain team up like that would work. So I don't know. It's just, it's out there. It's a possibility. We'll just have to wait and see, as I've been saying. Although they have made one casting announcement on Captain America: Civil War, aside from the announcement of Black Panther being in it. They have cast a German actor to be in the movie, and while they said he's not in particular a Captain America villain, he might be a Doctor Strange villain.
Ooh.
Oh, I forgot I was still here. I've been quiet for like, what, 20 minutes now?
You have been quiet for quite a while, yes.
Yeah, I was more intrigued just like really listening to this conversation than I just felt like, oh, I'm recording.
Okay, on to the last bit of news real quick. If you guys haven't heard in the news lately, there has been this major hack at Sony, at Sony. And
For once I actually heard that news.
it's not looking good for Spider-Man.
Good.
It hasn't looked good for Spider-Man since he sold his marriage to the devil. Your point?
Okay, let me rephrase that. It's looking worse.
Worse than when they canceled Spectacular Spider-Man?
Yes, worse than that.
Worse than the fact that they actually have made Ultimate Spider-Man into a second series.
Wow, that's pretty bad.
Worse than the fact that actually that's ends the joke. Never mind.
Actually, right now this month, Sony is in negotiations with Marvel Studios over at Disney to actually get Spider-Man in the MCU and create a new trilogy with possibly the guys who directed the Russo brothers, who directed Captain America: The Winter Soldier, helming it. Now, again, I'm not really sure how credible these sources are, because I'm sitting there going like, wait a minute, you want the Russo brothers not only to do Captain America 3, but you also want them to do 3 Spider-Man films, and I've heard that they are in talks to actually direct Infinity Wars, which I'm like, really? You're just going to say goodbye to Joss and then, put these guys in? It's like, these guys are really good at directing like the political thriller, but I'm not really sure how they do with Spider-Man or a cosmic, war. So we'd have I don't know, maybe they'll surprise us and be like, yes, we are doing that, and yes, we did make $1 billion, to your point, so
Well, I'm just thinking for Infinity War, if they actually did helm the project, is that since they are helming the project, is it like a definite, or is there just rumor on that?
Personally, I think it's rumor, although one of the leaked emails from the Sony hack stated that they are indeed helming the project.
Until then, I'll just refer to it as rumor. If the rumor is actually true, all I can just imagine is that Thanos just sitting his throne and just simply saying, "I will now conquer the galaxy using these Infinity Stones." Sir, you gotta pass this Congress before you can actually start. Darn it! Vetoed again.
Mr. Thanos goes to Washington.
Now I'm just imagining him like in a white cut suit, like him just carrying a briefcase, and him just saying, "I'm here to state my claim. I would like to start an Infinity War if it is by the judge's permission." The judge is Stan Lee.
Oh.
And he's like, "I like that idea."
But yeah, the Sony hacks have been pretty informative when it comes to like finding out all of what's been going on with Spider-Man. Um, for instance, there was recently an email released where the director of the Sinister Six project, Drew Goddard, sent an email saying that he believed a Godzilla-sized Sandman, who is the comic relief of the movie apparently, is going to make more money than Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. Basically stating, what does Marvel have? Magic tricks? We got a Godzilla-sized Sandman.
Now it should be noted that he might have just been really excited to try and make the pitch. Some people have been trying to say it was just really trying to sell it. He didn't really mean it in that regard, but yeah.
But the only response now I can only think is like, oh yeah, well we have a gorilla-sized Handman. We have a Hulk.
Yeah, but looking at it, I mean, we've seen emails where they were actually like saying, you know, like Mark Webb didn't do a good job with Amazing Spider-Man 2. They've apparently fired Andrew Garfield. So and there was even an email stating that they were thinking about bringing Gwen Stacy, Emma Stone, back, but doing the Ultimate Comics version where she's like a clone that turns into Carnage. And in the email, it was quoted as it would be a sexy idea.
Well, the teenagers will like it.
Oh dear.
The adult fan base with the quote-unquote mature comment responses.
And the money.
Well, yes, they're the ones that have to give money, but I'm talking about like all of the fanboys with their quote-unquote mature comments that they make on the videos. Such as, I hate this movie, wow. And I'm literally hoping that one fan actually sounds like that.
Yeah, it every time there was some new, bits of news that came out, it just looked pretty bad. There was even an apology that had to be written up by like the head of Sony, because one of the emails had some something to do with like being racist or something, like they were actually saying racist things. So it was like, okay, you guys have really cooked your goose now. So
Lesson learned, don't get hacked.
well, I was just gonna get you guys' thoughts on, if they are going to go forward with Sinister Six movie. Thoughts?
It will not be nearly as interesting as the Suicide Squad, because the Suicide Squad has stood the test of time as its own entity, specifically because of the setup for what the story is supposed to be. Sinister Six is supposed to be 6 villains versus Spider-Man. And reports are saying that either the movie would not include Spider-Man at all, or it would feature the villains teaming up with Spider-Man to take down a bigger threat. I'm sorry, who's smoking what, and where can I get some?
Well, there's a local drugstore. I mean...
No.
Well, he asked, I was answering.
Basically, yeah. The bigger threat apparently is supposed to be Venom.
Oh no, look out! A slightly stronger Spider-Man.
Well, to be honest, for Spider-Man, all you'd need to do is invent a big boot.
Okay, so let's break this down. All right, we all know the problems in character development that they had in Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, to say nothing of the Amazing Spider-Man series overall. But let's see. They would have to set up the characters of each of the 6 villains, of which maybe they've introduced us to 1 or 2. Rhino does not count. It depends on whether or not they actually use Lizard or Green Goblin. So that leaves at least 4 villains that they'd have to develop, plus Spider-Man, plus an origin for Venom, which I don't know how they'd shoehorn that in unless, again, they went Spider-Man 3 on it. So yeah, and then any other side characters that might be involved here.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like, it's like, how are you guys gonna do this? Apparently they wanted, like, not only like there was talk about Doc Ock, Sandman, Vulture. We heard Mysterio at one point. We heard Craven at one point. So it's like, I don't even know exactly what they plan to do, or even if Venom is like the bigger threat. How is Venom going to be the bigger threat unless they do, like, Spider-Man Web of Shadows, where it's like a Venom invasion? But it's like, seriously? This is what we're getting? We're getting a Sinister Six movie? Where they're not even going to do what they set out to do? I mean, even at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2, you have, like, you have the setup for it. So it's like, what? So now that'd be like me saying, today I am going to go to the grocery store, and instead I went to Walmart, which wasn't a grocery store. I went to the video game section. Why? I'm not gonna explain. I just did it.
Hey Sean, how did you know about my daily life? Except replace Walmart with GameStop, and I think we're all set.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like, I just can't figure it out. It's like, again, we want a piece of that Avengers pie, but we're doing it with characters that we really only care about when they're fighting Spider-Man.
True enough, it does actually fit that regard. Because while the characters can be interesting, they're not interesting enough unless they have their opponent, which is Spider-Man, that they have to fight. And, well, you're not going to be fighting Spider-Man, you're going to be teaming up with him, so it doesn't really help out in terms of, the idea of the verses. And even if Venom was actually chosen as the, quote-unquote super mega ultra bad guy we have to fight, not enough time can be given for origin story unless it is like, once upon a time there was Eddie Brock. He went to church one day. Black loop went on him. Opening credits.
Hijinks ensued.
Yeah.
And then, like, all the other bad guys go like, hey, you know what we should do? What? Let's team up. Okay.
No, wait, that's the plot. They go after Spider-Man, but they mistake Venom.
They're like, you're Spider-Man, aren't you? I'm actually Venom. Spider-Man! This also at least saves our budget, in which way we don't have to even show Spider-Man throughout the entire film.
Yeah. Now, there was talk in the Sony emails that said that apparently they, as I said, they're in negotiations to talk with Marvel Studios about getting Spider-Man a cameo in Captain America 3 in exchange for Captain America having a cameo in Sinister Six.
What?
I feel as though all we're gonna get is just Captain America reading the newspaper. Just like, kind of like, including we even literally for like one frame we just see like an arm reach out with a check giving it to him.
It's gonna be like Dan Aykroyd's cameo in Casper the movie.
When he still had his beard in the Ghostbusters costume.
Yeah, like Chris Evans is gonna show up with like 5 o'clock shadow, mustache. He's like doing a totally different movie that's unrelated to Marvel or anything, and he's gonna be like, "Hey, Cap."
Kind of like just, "Hey, Cap, how's it going?" "Not much. I'm just reading the local news. Did you know that the Yankees are winning right now?" "No way. Well, I'm off to fight supervillains. You want to help?" "Nah."
Okay, have a good day, citizen. Name's Steve. Alright, whatever. Bye.
I don't think anyone can beat Hugh Jackman's cameo in First Class.
Oh, his was the best.
Oh dear.
Oh, I don't care if it was like, something that could have been called a call-in. It was still just really hilarious.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that Sony is not realizing in all of this. See, they have nothing to gain, Sony. I mean, Marvel, that is. They have nothing to gain in having Captain America appear in Spider-Man. Sony has everything to gain if they just give Spider-Man up already. He's not making the money anymore. Not enough.
Yep.
Underperformance.
All we're gonna have to get is just simply enough Spider-Man films to tank, and then Sony's gonna have to say, we're gonna have to cut him loose.
And by then, it'll be too late. They'll have to sell Spider-Man back to Marvel at that point.
Yeah, and then Marvel's just gonna be like, okay, let me just look at the cider couch real quick. Okay, I got like $200,000. That should be enough, right? Yeah, seriously, it becomes the point of couch money.
And a yo-yo.
And a yo-yo,
And
yes.
Yo-yo.
Throw in the yo-yo.
Sold.
It's funny when you don't get a joke.
Okay, so with all that discussed, this brings me to my last subject of the evening, and I'd like to share with you guys something I found that I thought was so just bizarre. I was like, it has to be talked about. Rory and Zach, you remember when we discussed the, I think it was top 5 or top some, I don't remember the number, supervillains who are just so ridiculous I don't think they could ever get their own movie?
I believe so, yes.
Or be featured in a superhero movie, that is. Well, I now have the top 5 most ridiculous superheroes. I'm going to let everybody have their chance to speak, so when I finish, I'll say Zach, and then when Zach finishes, you can go to Rory, and then we'll end with Drew and Sky. Alright, so here we go. Number 5. The Almighty Dollar. A superhero dressed like a dollar bill who shoots pennies from his wrists and apparently spouts bad money-related puns. I'm not sure, but I know he does the pennies from the wrists.
Alright, here's his origin story. One day, young Peter Mackwell went to the grocery store one day. He discovered he didn't have any money in his pocket, so he went to the ATM, although he didn't discover that the ATM was struck by a neon-clad lightning bolt, thus giving him the power to shoot money from wrist. He then spends every single... although, he never could still pay for those groceries.
At least he could pay for his laundry.
Unfortunately, he discovered all the pennies he shot were counterfeit.
This is a superhero who would not last one day. Capitalists, economists, or cops, depending on whether or not the money shooting out from his wrists was real, would all want him dead.
Either that or use him for financial gain.
Now, if he's shooting out real money, that brings down the economy, technically.
Yep. Or if you want to make him a supervillain, then he's gonna be like, well, I'm gonna rule the world now with my real / fake money. You can't tell. That's gonna be his voice, by the way. He will be played by Donald Trump. If he is dead, we will bring him back to life so we can have him play that character.
No, Donald Trump's still alive.
Oh, we will get the young Donald Trump.
Alright, anybody else's thoughts on the Almighty Dollar?
I think he just wants to change the world.
Oh! Oh!
You all were thinking it. Come on.
No, I was not. Thank you very much.
The penny dropped, eh? Those kind of puns, right?
Drew. Bloodstained fur.
He's staying far away from this one.
Dude, it's only gonna get worse from here. Say your 2 cents now.
No.
Oh! Stop! Stop! You're destroying everything, Rory. Stop it. All right, moving on with number 4. If nobody else is going to speak up, we have number 4, Skate Man.
Huh?
He's a Vietnam vet who was also a martial arts enthusiast. One day, he dons a scarf and his roller skates and goes on a vigilante rampage. Only one issue was printed, and the conclusion of his origin story was never given.
Allow me to give said conclusion of that origin story. You see, what happened was that he then discovered that Well, he actually had super duper amazing powers and created what was called the Skate Cave. Or for copyright reasons, he called it the Skate Dome, in which that it was basically a dome with a whole bunch of skate parks, including with his own concierge, not butler, concierge, named Fred.
Good for you. Okay.
Named Mr. Alfred. And of course, and oh yeah, he also has a supervillain. The supervillain's name is called Bored.
Oh.
Oh no, it's not because of skateboards or surfboards. He's just really bored.
Okay. Anybody else's thoughts on Skate Man?
Would he need a psychic? Because if he's just Skate Man, wouldn't that just be one skate? So he'd need a clone. Or twin brother.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd make more sense to call him Skates Man, because then it'd be like, oh, now you're wearing two, okay.
But how many skates? 2, 10, 12? How many skates is he wearing? All the skates.
Oh dear.
This guy's origin story speaks for itself. There is nothing that I could possibly say that could add to it.
All right, continuing with the number 3 on the list, and this one sounds like a joke, but it is not. The Dog Welder.
Wait, no, please tell me that that is not a literal name.
No, that's the name. The Dog Welder.
Oh, you said welder. I thought you said wilder.
No, the Dog Welder. He welds stray dogs to the crook's face.
Once upon a time, there was a man that was not really a cat person.
No. This one does not
day,
deserve
dogs
that
would look good
treatment.
on
No,
people's
Zach,
faces,
you
it would
stop
make
it.
people look
Stop
cute.
it,
So
Zach.
I'm gonna
No.
make dogs actually on people's faces.
No, Zach.
And thus he became...
Mute him. Shut him off. No. No. What kind of sick mind thinks of this?
I don't know, but it's only number 3.
Are you gonna have the cat welder next?
The Cat Wielder. That's his arch nemesis.
The cat wielder. And I say this: if they do make a movie, the dog wielder will be played by Ben Affleck.
Oh no. Number 2, Arm Fall Off Boy.
Oh my gosh, I've heard of this one.
Yep, no backstory. He's just a big, strangely dressed guy who pops off his arms and uses them as weapons. I'm not really sure. It's just, he's like, here, take this, pop, wham.
Or is he like an action figure brought to life?
An action figure brought to life. I don't know. He has absolutely no backstory.
Okay, backstory time. The story
No.
behind him is that he used to be...
You don't.
What happened one day is that he did get his toy train back from the train station. He then tore off his arm in anger. Hijinks ensued.
There's no stopping him.
You were going to say Sky.
What? Why are you putting the emphasis on me? What were you gonna say?
No, it sounded like you were going to say something.
Mm-mm. No.
Okay, well, you know what his catchphrase is gonna be, right? Back off, I'm armed.
Ba-bum.
I guess you could say that they are... I guess you could say that I'm disarmed.
He'll give like the highest high five ever.
Okay, I guess I've kept this long enough. Number 1. When I saw this, I couldn't speak. And I was alone. I had nothing. My brain fried. It was just like, what? Who did this?
Sean, just say it.
I'm building up. No, I'm not just going to say it. I'm building this up. To this day, the creator of this hero is unknown. This character, this superhero is called Codpiece.
Say, huh?
He's easy to wind up.
He has a cannon
No.
attached to his
No!
groin.
Ah! What?
I am not.
Origin story.
I am no. I don't.
No,
No.
no.
No, you don't. You
You
don't. No, you no. You do not get an origin story.
He was born that way.
No.
No!
How would that even happen if he was born that way?
No, don't encourage him.
Okay, he's
No,
already,
no,
he's
no.
already got a
Shut up.
backstory. He's got a backstory. He was embarrassed by his height and the way women treated him. That's the backstory.
So he was making up for something.
Also, because of his parents and a canon love each other very much.
No, no, please, no. As I said, I couldn't believe what I was looking at when I researched. I was like, what? Why would you do this?
I guess this is a good reason why he was part of the Weapon X program.
I will refuse to say any more on the matter because I know my brain will go right down the toilet.
You know, literally, when I first actually heard that name, all I could think is that part fish?
Oh god.
I wish.
Oh no. Anyway, there you go, guys. The top 5 most ridiculous superheroes I could find that I cannot even see getting anywhere near things like a movie, a TV series, or any of that. Okay, guys, thank you for joining me on another episode, and thank you, Sky. And I know Drew had to step away for a little bit, but thank him for us as well.
It was awesome to be included in this discussion.
And congratulations on being the first female guest on this show.
Yeah, I kind of gathered that as well. And probably first British as well, too.
Yes. All right. See you next time, guys.